All right, so we got too many guys helping here. Look at this. This player here for Illinois is going to blow by his man here. So look what happens here. I mean, this big right here does a great job helping. Okay, this player right here does a great job helping the helper. But again, what is this player for Chicago State doing? We don't need three people on this one player for Illinois. This big came to help. We're helping the helper here. This player stay home in the corner so that this player can stay with his man here. But look what happens. You have a third player coming over to guard the ball. So now look, now this player has to guard both of these Illinois players, and you can see now that allows his man to cut right to the rim and lead to a layup. Okay, so right here you hit the big, okay, as Illinois is trying to front right here. But so this is what needs to happen here. This big right here cannot try and go up with this, okay? Couple of options here. Either right now, okay, look, you have two different Illinois defenders collapsing. Either both of these players for Chicago State can cut, and we can drop it off to one of them for an easy two, or this big needs to catch, and then immediately understand that this help is coming from somewhere. So someone's going to be wide open, and now it's catch, and to the corner for a catch and shoot three here, or to the corner for a catch and shoot three here. But you've got to be looking to distribute here. You can't be trying to score over two different Illinois help defenders, and you can see no one cuts. They don't. Also, the big doesn't look to hit the three-point line for an open catch and shoot three, and you end up with a block and you don't score. So this is in transition. You want to maybe do a little bit job of jabbing at this drive right here with this player here defending in the corner. He's in good position. Look at this. He's got his back to the baseline. He's in the gaps defensively. But look, when this player for Illinois beats his man this way, maybe just do a little bit harder jab right here. Look at this. You don't have to move. You're in great position. But just stunt at this maybe a little bit harder. Maybe you can get up the line a hair. But when this player comes this way, maybe do a little bit more aggressively here, stunting at this drive. You don't have to move, just stunt at it a little bit harder. Stunt, and you have plenty of time to recover back out to the corner. But this stunt at this drive is kind of nonchalant here, and you can see the ball handler doesn't really feel pressured at all there, and it ends up leading to a layup. So this guard's making this pass too early right here. You're going to set up in a ball screen. Now, first of all, it's so much easier if this player for Chicago State can just get to the weak side of the floor and you empty out the strong side of the floor here. Okay, because look at Illinois is icing this ball screen right here, right? They're icing this ball screen. So this guard just needs to be able to drag this big, right? You want to attack downhill off his hip and drag this big. And you just have more space to drag the big if there isn't a defender in the gaps here for Illinois. Okay? But even still, you can still probably pull this off. But this guard, again, get downhill. Drag this big. We want to force a backside defender here from the weak side of the floor. And the only way that happens is if you get downhill and drag this big and give this big some time to roll. So either now you're able to hit this big. If there's no backside help, you should be able to just go right up for two. Okay? Or if you draw this backside defender, you can short roll it here for a catch and shoot three. Or if the backside defender is aggressive, then this drag is open. Okay, and you can hit here for a catch and shoot three. Okay, but we want to force a backside defender from the weak side of the floor, and the only way you do that is if you attack off this big's hip, keep this big at the ball, and give this player here for Chicago State time to roll. But look, when you make this pass so early, you don't drag that big at all. Now look, now you don't force any backside help, and you're just right back into regular one-on-one mode. And you can see right now you're just kind of going into isolation, and now it's a late clock situation with 3 seconds on the shot clock. So you end up just jacking a three, and you get nothing out of it when you could have gotten something open. All right, so again, two pressed up to the perimeter. Look at this defender right here. Okay, ball's right here for Illinois. Okay, you're two pressed up to the perimeter. The shell drill. Take another half step to a step in. When this player comes this way, you can just jab at this, stunt. You don't have to move, and you'll have plenty of time on the time of that pass to get out to the three-point line. Okay? But you want to clog this driving lane up here. Okay? But when you are too pressed up to the perimeter, look at this. Now you just why? There's no reason to be all the way out here at the three-point line. If you're another half step in this way, now this drive doesn't happen. You stunt, you recover back out. But when you're not in the gaps defensively, you give up this driving lane, and it leads to an and one for Illinois. So again, ball screen gets set. Illinois is in drop coverage, okay? So look at right here. Now, again, spacing. It'd be easier if this player is on the weak side of the floor, so this guard had all the space he needs to drag this big right here for Illinois, because now when you have an offensive player here, that means there's somebody in the gaps for Illinois, but there's still things that you can do. Again, this guard has space. Get into the lane. Keep this big at the ball. Give this big time to roll. Okay? And now look, now you either force, if a backside defender steps up, okay, now this skip pass is available. If the backside defender doesn't step up, then this roll's open. But you have to keep this big having to guard the ball, okay, and give this player time to roll and make Illinois' backside defenders have to make a decision there, okay? But you can see, again, he doesn't attack the lane and attack that big's hip. He takes a contested mid-range jumper, and you get nothing. Okay, so this is in transition right here. This player for Chicago State, you've got to sprint back. Okay, and look at this. Right now, if you see that you're behind the play right here, behind that player for Illinois, you've got to communicate this. You've got to let this player for Chicago State know that he needs to get back then and underneath this big right here for Illinois. This has got to be communicated in transition. Okay, so this player needs to know, I need to be sprinting back to make sure that I am behind this player for Illinois. Because look what happens here. I don't know if there's communication or what's happening, but again, but look at how no one is sprinting to get behind this player for Illinois. So now it's just that player's able to just simply run his lane and get a wide open layup out of this because nobody was able to get back and get underneath that player for Illinois. So this is good. You run an empty side ball screen. Look at the spacing. So now this guard has all the space he needs to drag the big, create things like that. There's no player clogging that space up in the corner there. So you can look at all the options you have. See, he's able to attack this big's hip, and he ends up getting an open jumper here and scores. But again, because you've emptied that side of the floor, look at how open this roll is. There's no backside defender there for Illinois, so that you have the option to hit that roll, or you give that player space to create, and he's able to walk into an open jumper. That's well executed. So you run a high ball screen right here. Now Illinois is in drop coverage. Again, this guard's making this pass too early. Again, the spacing, it would be easier if this player could get to the weak side of the floor so that the strong side of the floor is emptied out here, and this guard has the space to attack this big's hip and drag the big. But look at right here. Look at the options you have. Again, this guard has space to attack this big's hip. Keep this big at the basketball. Illinois is in drop coverage. This guard is fighting over the top and going towards the ball. So you have the pick and pop option here. Again, if you attack downhill, as long as you're attacking downhill and attacking off that big's hip, this big has to stay towards the ball. This pick and pop's going to be wide open there, okay, if you get downhill and attack that big's hip. But the other option you have is if this big wants to roll, again, you're attacking downhill, you're keeping this big at the basketball, and look, now you can hit this big at the right time, and it's either a layup, or again, look, if you draw this backside defender here, then it's a short roll, right to the big, to the corner for a catch and shoot three. So you want to create backside help, okay, or when Illinois is in drop coverage here, attack downhill to keep this big at the ball so that this pick and pops option is open. But this guard doesn't explore any of those opportunities. He just makes a quick pass, and you clank a contested three. So again, in transition, look at this player for Illinois right here. If this big is not going to be able to get back, you've got to communicate this. If this player for Chicago State is not going to be able to get underneath that big for Illinois, this has to be communicated. Look at this right now. I mean, you can see he has allowed this big to get behind him. So right now, you can't see in the picture, but this player for Chicago State needs to be communicating with this guard right here for Chicago State at the corner of the screen right here. And he needs, at the edge of the screen right there. And he needs to be pinching in then from the corner right here, right? You've got to be underneath here because you're essentially fronting right now in transition. And you can't allow this pass to get made. This player's got to pinch in so that this pass over the top can't get made. But again, there's no communication there in transition. So you allow this Illinois big to again get behind you. And, again, a lob pass gets made, and it's going to end up being a two-shot foul now. Okay, again, this guard is making this pass too early. Look, Illinois is icing this ball screen right here. So, again, you have the opportunity to take 2, 3, even 4 solid dribbles. As long as you're attacking downhill, this big has to stay towards the ball here. And again, now this pick and pop's open, okay? Or if this player comes over here, then you can kick it over there. But you want to keep this big at the ball. As long as if you make this pass early, you're just allowing him to rotate back. You either want to make this a wide open pick and pop or, again, force backside help to have to step up. But when you make this pass early like this, look, now that pick and pop is not there, and you end up turning it over. So again, you can't lean towards the screen. I mean, look, I think that that's what this player is doing for Chicago State defensively. Look at this. Illinois is going to try and set a ball screen. This defender here defending the ball is going to try and cheat the screen, and he's going to try and anticipate a screen. And what does that allow? It allows this player for Illinois to just refuse the screen, okay, and just blow by him and get into the lane. You cannot start leaning towards a screen early. If the screen gets set and this guard comes off, then you can start to fight over the top of the screen or whatever your ball screen defense is. But when you try and lean towards the screen and get over the top early, you allow them to just refuse the screen, and look, this player gets right to the rim for an easy two. Okay, again, you can't lean. You can't anticipate a screen here. Look at this player right here. He's going to start leaning this way, so this player for Illinois is, again, just going to refuse the screen and get right into the lane for an easy two. You cannot try and start to fight over the top of a screen until the screen actually gets set and this guard actually comes off of it. Look what happens, though. When you try to anticipate and cheat the screen, you allow the player to just refuse the ball screen and get right into the lane for an easy two. So this is a lot better job here. You set this ball screen right here. This guard is going to snake it this way, okay? And again, you're not making this pass early. You're taking several solid dribbles. See, as long as you're attacking downhill that way off that big's hip, this big has to go towards the ball. This guard is fighting over the top and going towards the ball with you. So if you're executing a pick and pop, this is going to be wide open if you actually drag this big, like what happens here. You can see, drags the big, pick and pop's open, you just got to knock it down. So this is, again, in transition, you're letting this big get behind you. Look at this right here. You have got to either sprint back or communicate what's going on. That big is behind you, and so now someone has to pinch in. Either this player has to pinch in, so if this pass over the top gets made, you get a deflection, okay? Or, you're just sprinting back to make sure that you're not letting this big get behind you again. But there's got to be either a lot more hustle to get back or some communication that, I need you to pinch in over the top so that this pass can't get made. But when you do none of those things, look, you again allow that big to get behind you, and it's again a layup. All right, so again, this is why you want to be in the gaps defensively. Look at this drive right here. Again, let's stop this drive right here. Okay, first of all, this player's back should be totally towards the baseline. It's not totally towards the baseline. And then the other thing, when this player comes this way, okay, if you're maybe a half step to a quarter step in a little bit more with your back totally to the baseline, when this player comes this way, you're stunting, and you have plenty of time to recover. Just stunt, get that dribble picked up, and recover. Because look what happens. You allow this player to keep his dribble alive here because you're not in the gaps. So now look. Now this player is going to come back this way, and so now there's some chaos. Now they set a screen, and I don't really know what's going on here. And we got three different players all collapsed in the paint. No one's guarding the corner right here. So, I mean, again, this player doesn't even make this pass yet to the corner. So this player here should be sprinting to get back out. Okay, this player's taken the ball, but we can't have two people guarding the big. And so that guard needs to be, again, get out to the corner. We can't have two people guarding one. And you can see what happens here. Nobody goes to take the corner here, and you're going to see eventually they swing it to the corner for a wide open three. But really, all of this chaos that had ensued doesn't happen if, what? This player is, again, in the gaps defensively, back completely to the baseline. He stunts, gets that dribble picked up there, and recovers. And now you don't allow this player for Illinois to make this drive, and bring different defenders with him. And, again, that leads to that wide open three there. So, again, this guard does a nice job here. Look at this. Illinois icing the ball screen here. Okay? And look, this guard does not hesitate or make the pass too early. He gets downhill. So look what happens. As long as he's attacking downhill, what does that mean? That means his big has to stay towards the ball. So you have to understand that, and the read has to be that this pick and pop's going to be wide open. Okay? I mean, either this pick and pop's going to be open, okay, or you draw this backside defender, and this player's open. Okay? So you're forcing two people to have to guard the ball by attacking downhill, but you got to make the right read here. Right here, you got to know that this pick and pop's there. This big has down that ball screen, And this guard is, of course, the guard for Illinois is there with you. So again, it's out here for a catch and shoot three, or if you draw this backside defender, then this is open. But that's the read. I mean, this player here is not in backside help. And you see that's where the pass gets made, and there's not an opening there, so it ends up being a turnover. Can't have two people doing one thing in the zone right here, okay? Look, we got two guys guarding the ball. Right here, this player can guard the ball. This player needs to drop and defend the middle. Again, everyone else is doing one thing in the zone, okay? But now we got two people doing one thing in the zone right here. And so, again, this player needs to drop in the middle. When you have two people doing one thing in a zone, it's gonna obviously lead to openings elsewhere in the zone. And so now this middle is wide open, and you let him catch it in the middle. And now look, now this big's got to come out, and no one's here to guard this player right here. And it's going to end up leading to an easy dunk for Illinois. So, yeah, I mean, right here, look at this. This player for Chicago State's got, as long as this player for Illinois is in the paint, you got to be bumping him off his spot right here. Look at this, what's going on right now, okay? You got to bump him off his spot and battle for real estate early, okay? Because look what happens. When you don't bump him off his spot early, now look, now you just are standing in the charge circle, and you're going to end up getting sealed here. See how you allow him to initiate the contact? Again, right now, you should be already bumping him off his spot, keeping him out of the paint area. Because when you do nothing like this, okay, and just stand in the charge circle, now you let him initiate the contact, and now look, now you're sealed. Okay, you've gotten sealed now on the post, and it's going to be just catch and go up for a layup because you didn't bump him off his spot early. So again, look at the spacing here. So you run this ball screen right here, okay, and so Illinois is icing it. But again, get this player here to the weak side of the floor. Empty out the strong side of the floor here so that this guard has the space to do what? Drag this big. But you see, there's a defender here in the gaps for Illinois. So there's not enough space for this guard to drag this big and open up this pick and pop. Okay? Because you can see, look at this. This player, there's no space to drag this big, so we got a player in the gaps here defensively. This strong side of the floor is emptied out. Now you can drag this big, okay? And now this pick and pop's going to be wide open, okay? As long as this big has to stay towards the ball. But because there's no space, look, now that you can't drag that big to open the pick and pop, and you end up turning it over because of the spacing. So again, look at how open this pick and pop is if what? You get rid of this player in the corner here for Chicago State, and you empty out the strong side of the floor. So this guard has room to drag this big this way. And again, this pick and pop is then wide open. But look, this guard doesn't have enough room to drag this big because you got a defender right here in the gaps for Illinois. So again, get this player to the weak side of the floor. Now this guard can drag this big, and this pick and pop's going to be wide open. But you can see he doesn't have the room to drag that big, so now you're just right back into one-on-one mode. All right, again, you got to battle for real estate early against this big for Illinois. Look at right now. See, right now you should be nudging him off his spot. Get him off the block right here. You need to be the one that initiates contact, because if you allow this player for Illinois to initiate contact, you're going to get sealed like we've seen. Look at this. Now look, because you've just stood in the charge circle right there, you allow him to initiate the contact and you get sealed. Again, right here, right now you should be bumping him off his spot, battling for real estate. The Chicago State big needs to be initiating the contact. Because look what happens. When you allow him to initiate the contact, look, now you get sealed in the post there, okay, when you just stand in the charge circle, and look, you're going to let him throw it down low, catch, one dribble, dunk. So again, this guard has got to attack this big. Look at this. The Illinois is in drop coverage where they drop the big and fight over the top. You can see right here, this backside defender isn't going with the big right here. So again, this guard, get into the lane and engage this big. Get this big to have to stay towards the ball, and it's going to open up this big's roll, and it should be wide open, okay? And if this backside defender goes with the Chicago State big on this roll, fine. Then this lift is going to be open. But you've got to get in the lane like you're able to and engage this big. Get this big to come towards the ball, and either this roll is going to be wide open or that roll takes the backside defender, so this lift is open for a catch-and-shoot three. But he doesn't attack the big and get into the lane. He instead gets a contested mid-range shot blocked, and you get nothing. Okay, so you got to cut here. Illinois is going to trap off this ball screen right here. Okay, so you pass through. So look at this. Right here, this Chicago State player is being defended by this Illinois player. once this ball gets passed through and that Illinois player steps up, you have to cut. Okay, look at this right here. Okay, ball gets made. Look, you should be gone. You should be getting ready to be right there. Okay, and then once this player steps up here, look, now we're just getting you the ball right there and it's a dunk. But instead, you stand at the three-point line, okay, and now, we're not even able to get you the basketball, and now we get 0 off this. All right, again, you have to cut. Look at this. This player for Chicago State is going to get by his man and go into the lane right here. So this player for Chicago State is being defended by this player for Illinois. Okay? You should be getting ready to go here and starting to cut, because when this player for Chicago State turns the corner, look at this right here. You should now be right here. Okay? And so we're just dropping this to you for an easy 2. Okay? Or if you cut, okay, and this defender then falls back onto you, then this cutter's wide open. So we want to give this player who's turning the corner right here options, either to drop it here to you or here to this player. But come towards the rim. When your man is in backside help like this, you can't stand at the three-point line. Cut so we can get open looks right at the rim. But instead, you can see he stands at the three-point line, so now Illinois is able to rotate out of it. You give them time to rotate out of it, and you end up with nothing. Okay, so again, Illinois is going to trap this ball screen, and again, you got to cut. Look at this right here. So Illinois traps this ball screen, and you pass out of it. Right now, look at this right here. Okay, this player for Chicago State's man went to rotate to one pass away over there. So when this pass gets, look at this, go, don't stand. Okay, because now we're getting you the ball, and you're either going into the lane for 2, okay, or you're going to suck this defender in, and now look, now either this cutter's open there, or if that cutter, again, we just have the numbers. If this cutter here takes this defender, then we're just going to have a cutter coming this way, okay, and we have a little 3-on-2 at the rim, okay? So you take advantage of a numbers advantage like this by condensing the floor, by cutting when your man goes to help. But when everybody just stands at the three-point line as this is going on, now you let Illinois' defense rotate back out of this, and you can see, again, you're going to end up getting 0. So again, coming off this ball screen, look at this guard. Get in the lane. Engage this big. Give this player time to roll. Because again, only good things are going to happen. You're either in the lane and forcing this big to stay at the ball, and you're either hitting this roll because there's no backside defender, or if this defender steps up in backside help, this lift then is wide open, and we can go here for a catch-and-shoot 3. But again, instead of engaging this big right here who's dropping, you just take a contested mid-range jumper and you get nothing. Okay, so again, you want to be in the gaps defensively. Illinois runs a ball screen. It looks like Chicago State switches this, but look at this. Look at this defender in the corner. Don't have your back to the sideline. Get your back to the baseline so that when this player comes through here, you're in the gaps, right? You can stunt, get that dribble picked up, recover. You don't have to move. You're just jabbing at it to get that dribble picked up, and you recover. But look what happens. This player for Chicago State isn't in the gaps defensively. He's got his back to the sideline and doesn't have his back to the baseline. So now look, now this player for Illinois has a driving lane he should never have. Okay, and look, now there's, now that forces help. There's no one then to help the helper with this big for Illinois, and so he's going to catch it way too low, and it's going to end up being a 2-shot foul. Okay, so on this cross screen, look at this. You got a cross screen coming right here. What's this player for Chicago State doing? Your man is clearly setting a cross screen. So you got to get over here and jam this player for Illinois as he comes through that cross screen so that the man getting hit with the screen can meet him on the other side. But look, when you don't jam the player coming through the cross screen, look, now this is what happens. And you can see this player for Illinois is going to be able to catch it way too low, and it's going to be a 2-shot foul. Okay, again, away from the ball you man on offense. Look at this player for Chicago State, okay? This player with the basketball for Chicago State is going to blow by his man and get into the lane. So look, you have to be seeing this, okay? You got to be seeing all this, all right? And your man here is clearly getting ready to step up and help, okay? So right now, you cannot be fading to the three-point line here. You've got to be stopping, okay? And once you see your man commit to this help right here, boom, you're gone. Okay, because now we're dropping it to you here, and you're either going up for 2, or if you suck in this defender, you drop it here. But look, this player just fades to the three-point line, so now this guard doesn't have the option to drop it off to him, and he's going to end up just having to fling up a shot, and it's going to get swatted. Okay, so again, this guard gets in the lane, which is great, coming off this ball screen. So right here, he draws all sorts of help everywhere from Illinois. Now, everyone on Chicago State does a great job of collapsing and cutting, but look at this right here. Right here, you got to make one more pass. okay? And it's really about communication on offense. This player here for Chicago State should be screaming, hollering for the ball to make this read easier. I mean, right here, you have to understand that this defender that has come from someplace else. So you have to keep your head up and understand that someone's wide open and make it easier for this person to understand that by this player here yelling for the ball, screaming for the ball. Okay, so this player knows, okay, I got to get rid of this ball right here. But instead, again, this player is going to try and take a contested shot at the rim when a wide open shot of the rim is there if you just make one more pass, and you can see, look, contested shot, and you wind up with nothing. So again, the spacing. Look at this. Illinois is icing this ball screen, okay, and look at how open this pick and pop is if this guard has room to drag this big, but he has no room because you got a defender right here in the gaps for Illinois. So this player in the corner for Chicago State, get him to the weak side of the floor. So his defender goes to the weak side of the floor, and this guard can drag this big, and this pick and pop then becomes open. But when you have no room to drag the big, look, now you have to pass out of it, and you're right back into one-on-one mode. And so this is a great job being in the gaps defensively. Look at this defender right here for Chicago State. Back to the baseline. When this player comes this way, he's just going to stunt and easily has plenty of time to recover back out. So you're clogging up these driving lanes. Okay, look at this. Stunt, recover back out. Okay, clog the driving lane up, and now Illinois has got to take it out again. All right, so right here, you're helping where you don't have to. Okay, look at this right here. This Illinois player is coming on this drive. This player for Chicago State is going to do a nice job being in the gaps defensively. Look at how he's just going to stunt, recover back out. So he does a great job. He gets that dribble picked up right now. So look at this, though. This big for Chicago State is fine now. You were in the gaps defensively. Why is this player here for Chicago State helping? There's no need to. This player for Chicago State is fine one-on-one now because we got in the gaps defensively on the wing. But instead, look, this player, look at how he's coming to help. For what reason? Now you leave your man, okay, to help for no reason, and that leads to an easy two. So if you're going to double the post here, you got to X out of this. Look at this right here. I mean, this is not a post dig, okay? If you're digging in the post, this player here is going to get halfway and just kind of jab at this and recover, okay? Right here, you're doubling. So first of all, you might as well just go all the way, okay, and double. But look at this. When this ball, look at, you're coming all the way down here to double. When this ball gets kicked out here, you cannot be recovering back here. You got to X out, okay? When the ball gets kicked here, this player's got to rotate over here, and then you go on to the secondary man, and you X out of this. You cannot expect to be able to go double and then just recover right back out to the three-point line to your man. You can see that's what, you know, that defender tries to do, and it ends up being an open three. So where's this player going? Look, this player for Chicago State's going to beat his man and get into the lane. Look at this player for Chicago State. Just dive hard right to this open space, and we should be able to drop it to you for an easy two. But look, he's going to start fading away from the basket. Look at this right here. Where is he going? Why is he going outward this way? Just step up right into this open space, and we're dropping it to you for a dunk. But look, this player's going out of the paint. Why? So now when he gets it dropped to him, look where he's catching it. This is now a jump shot when it should have just been a dunk. And you can see now you end up getting 0. Okay, so coming off this cross screen right here, all right, you got to be catching this ball lower. Okay, you set the cross screen. Illinois doesn't defend it well. Look at this player for Chicago State coming off this cross screen. He's catching this ball, like right now, okay? Get right into this player's jersey so you can catch the ball right in the charge circle. But instead, look how he's posting up air. So now you're just letting this player for Illinois back in the play. Again, go find contact, get into his jersey, and now you're catching the ball right here, and you should be able to just go up for an easy two. But look where he ends up catching it. He lets this player back in the play instead of sealing him off, and now you're catching it outside the block. So now you end up having to take a contested fadeaway, and you get 0. So you can't guard nobody in the zone, okay? Watch this defensively for Chicago State. Why is this player going towards the middle part of the zone? This player in the zone is doing just fine guarding the middle there. Stay to this part of the floor. Again, we got 2 people doing one thing right here. 2 people guarding the middle of the zone. This player's been guarding the middle of the zone, and he's doing fine, okay? So you stay out here, because look what happens now. Because you went to the middle of the zone, now you're leaving this player open. And look what has to happen. Now this player here has to come up and just stunt at this. And when he stunts at this, look at how he's stunting at this open three right here. Now he leaves positioning right here to box this player out. So when that happens, look, now you allow this player right here to just get right to the basket without being boxed out, and he's able to get a deflection, okay? And now it's an offensive rebound and an easy two. So again, let's back it up here. If everybody just stays home in the zone, okay, like right here, this player in the zone stays here, this player's doing just fine, and this player can just stay in the corner and doesn't have to stunt up like that because that player's out of position, and this player can just, instead of having to stunt here, can just stay right there and box out his man. Okay, now this player for Illinois doesn't have this free lane to the rim like he does, and you can see it's going to end up leading to an easy two. Can't go up the gut of this down screen. Look at this right here. Illinois sets this down screen right here. Just chase off this player's hip. Again, this big needs to get attached to his man setting that screen and show, okay? But don't look at how this player is going to go up the gut. When you go up the gut, this happens. Look at how he's up the gut. So now look where he is. And now this player for Illinois is just able to get it and get right into the lane. You're going to see it's going to eventually lead to an easy putback for Illinois because he went up the gut of that down screen. Okay, so again, spacing. You run this ball screen here. Get this player out of the corner so that this player here has space to drag this big, but you still have some space here. This guard is pulling his dribble back way too early. Look at this right here, okay? Keep attacking downhill. You can take 1 to 2 solid dribbles this way and give this big a little bit more time to roll. It doesn't look like Illinois got any backside defenders coming right here, okay? Or they're going to be late, so you'll be able to make this pocket pass right here, okay? But again, we want to force backside out. Okay, this guard, 1 to 2 more dribbles downhill off this big's hip. Give this big another second or two to roll, and now it's a pocket pass through either to an easy two, okay, or it's a pocket pass through, and when this backside defender steps up, it's either into the corner here for a catch-and-shoot three, or when this backside defender steps up, you can go short roll to the big here to a dunk right there, right on a cut. But you want to force that backside help to have to step up. When you pull your dribble back early, now you let the defense reset, everyone's one-on-one, and you can see now Chicago State's eventually going to end up turning it over. Okay, so this is off a make right here. And just get back. Okay, look at this defensive player here for Chicago State. Just get back. Okay, if you start going towards the ball, now you're gambling. Okay, you're gambling when you try and go towards the ball. Just get back so we can set up half-court defense. But look what happens. Look at this gamble right here. See how he's going towards the basketball here? That's gambling. So now you allow yourself to get blown by, and now you just give up a layup because of that. Can't lean and anticipate a screen. Look at this defender defending on the ball. Where is he going? Look, Illinois is going to try and set up in a ball screen right here. Again, you're trying to cheat the screen by getting over the top early. You can't do that until this screen is set, until this guard actually comes off of it. Then you can start fighting over the top of the screen. When you start leaning and trying to cheat the screen and get over the top early, now you allow this guard to just refuse the ball screen here, okay, and blow by you and get right into the lane for an easy layup. Don't stand. Look at this player for Chicago State right here. Okay, this guard gets it and gets into the lane right here. Your man is clearly getting ready to help. Okay, so you should be seeing that, and as soon as he starts to go towards the ball, look at this right here. Like right now, start cutting. Okay, go. Because look at this right now. Why are you standing? He should be right here at the block. So now when this player gets into the lane, bang, we're just dropping this to you for an easy two. But instead, you stand, where the best thing we can get is a mid-range jumper as opposed to a dunk. And now you're just going to kick it out and, you take a horrendous three and get nothing. Okay, so again, being in the gaps defensively right here. All right, look at this defensive player for Chicago State. Out of position. He should be slanted way closer to the nail. Another half step to a step in with his back completely to the baseline. So that when this player comes through here, you're just stunting and have plenty of time to recover back out to the three-point line. Okay, but you cannot give up driving lanes like this. Look at this. Why aren't you in the gaps defensively? Because you're too pressed up right here. You're out of position, too pressed up on the three-point line. Okay, so now you just give up a driving lane that should never be there, and it leads to a wide-open layup. So again, why can't we get something going towards the basket here? Illinois totally botches how they're defending this dribble handoff. So instead of going to the three-point line, why can't you start to roll here? Okay, so now we're getting you the ball here, and now you're drawing people, right? Okay, now you're either getting open for a mid-range jumper, or or you're drawing this defender here. So now this big just has to make sure he seals this defender if he occupies him sinking down. And then again, you're going into the lane, and we're going right here for a dunk. Okay, or if this defender gets on this big's inside hip, then the three-point line is still going to be open, right? Because we're going here, and then now you've occupied this defender, so this is open. Let's get this big, though, out of the paint, and let's get a dunk. Okay, but instead, you go to the three-point line, and you end up taking a contested three, and now we're left with 0. All right, so off this miss, just get back, okay? Look at this defensive player for Chicago State right here, okay? Just hustle and get back beneath the three-point line so we can set up in a half-court defense, okay? But look what you do. When you go towards the ball, you gamble. And look what happens. When you go towards the ball like this and don't get it, okay, now you've given up numbers. See, now you're behind the play here, as opposed to just not going towards the ball, but just sprinting to get back so we don't give up numbers we can set up in half-court defense. But you gamble by going towards the ball, so now you're behind the play, and you just give up an open layup. So again, this pick and pop is there. Look at this. Illinois is in drop coverage off this ball screen right here. They drop the big, they fight over the top. So this guard, just get downhill, okay? Attack this big's hip. Drag this big this way. As long as you're attacking downhill, you don't hesitate, you don't pull back your dribble, this big has to stay towards the ball, okay? This guard is going towards the basketball as well. So again, this pick and pop here should be open. You attack downhill, the pick and pop's open, okay? Or if this big wants to roll here, okay, we can either hit him there, or maybe you draw this defender and the drag is open. But this guard's got to keep his dribble alive. Keep this big towards the ball. Keep two people going towards the ball. And let's create these interesting openings. But instead, you pull up for a contested mid-ranger and you end up with 0. So here you go. And now you set this ball screen right here. Okay, and this guard could do a little bit better job. Okay, you could drag this big a little bit more this way. But again, you don't pull up, you don't hesitate, you don't pull back your dribble. Look what happens. You drag this big just a little bit to keep him towards the ball. And what does that mean? That means this pick and pop's open. And you can see right there, right to an open pick and pop, catch and shoot 3. Now you miss it, but that's pretty good execution. So this is where drop coverage is difficult right here. So Chicago State is dropping the big and fighting over the top. So the problem is you're kind of just leaving this big on an island right here. Okay, there's no gap defense because you're fighting over the top. So again, now you're just leaving this big on an island, and it's going to lead to an open jumper for Illinois. So again, this is the space. Illinois spacing isn't that great here. So what if this big gets up and hedges? Okay, you hedge, and now look. Now you can get aggressive in this backside help area on this big's roll. Okay, you're stopping this guard's dribble all the way at almost half court, pretty much. Okay, and then this player for Chicago State can easily handle these two players for Illinois who are 2 passes away. And if a skip pass is somehow made, that's a really tough pass to make. He can rotate on the airtime of that pass, and you can X out if you need to. Okay, but again, the point is you're stopping this guard's dribble here. You're not giving him the lane like this and putting this big on an island one-on-one. And, that's just, I think, a better way of defending that ball screen. Okay, so you run an empty side ball screen that Illinois is in drop coverage on, okay? They drop the big here, they fight over the top. So this guard is going to get into the lane. When you run an empty side ball screen against drop coverage, look at this. You pretty much have a 2-on-1 right here with the big rolling and this guard. So right here, all this guard needs to have, because this player is behind the play. So all this guard needs to do here is just get this big to commit towards the ball. Once that big commits towards the ball, this roll's wide open. Okay, or if the big never commits towards the ball and you're just getting into lane, then you're going to get a little easy shot at the rim. Okay, but don't pick up your dribble. Look at this. This big is on an island in a 2-on-1 trying to guard the ball and the big. So get him to commit somewhere. Get him to commit towards the ball, opening this roll, or get him to commit towards the big and giving you a driving lane. Okay, but look at this guard picks up his dribble now, and this big hasn't committed anywhere. So now you just end up, you don't take advantage of that 2-on-1, and Illinois is going to get a deflection, and it's an out of bounds, and you got to reset. So again, this guard's got to keep attacking. Look at this, coming off this ball screen, just go. Get into the lane and drag this big. Look at this player's behind the play. Create this little mini 2-on-1 right here, okay? And make this backside defender have to, again, make a decision. Either this backside defender is going to step up and this lift is open, okay, or this backside defender is going to stay with this man and have no backside help. And if you attack downhill, then you should be able to hit this big for a layup. But when it all starts with attacking downhill and keeping this big having to stay towards the ball. But instead, you hesitate, you try and snake dribble, and now you allow the defense to reset, and you're just going one-on-one. Okay, so this is good. You run a ball screen right here, and again, Illinois is in drop coverage. They drop the big and fight over the top. This guard doesn't hesitate this time. Look how he's attacking hard off this big's hip, getting into the lane. You're not pulling your dribble back. You're not hesitating. And look, you attack hard, and look at all the options you have right here. I mean, if this big rolls hard and seals this man right here, okay, look at this. Like right here, this big should be rolling hard and sealing. Then look, we have the option to hit you right here. Okay, but look what else happens. You attack hard, you force a defender to have to step up and help, okay? And now it just leads to a drive and kick, open catch and shoot three. I mean, you end up missing it, but it was good execution because that guard attacked hard downhill coming off the ball screen. The one coming off this dribble handoff right here, look at the spacing. Get these players more towards the weak side of the floor, because look at this. They're to the weak side of the floor, and their defenders go to the weak side of the floor. Look, you come off this dribble handoff, and look what happens. This player's behind the play trying to fight over the top of this dribble handoff. So now you can get into the lane and create a 2-on-1 with the guard against that big rolling against this big who'd be dropping. This player's behind the play, but there's no space for him to get in the lane because we got Illinois players clogging up that lane because these players are so close to the strong side of the floor. Get to the weak side of the floor so their defenders go with them. That's mistake number one. Mistake number two is this guard now refuses this ball screen and gets in the lane. Again, look at what's happening here. Look at this player for Chicago State. You've got to be seeing this, okay? And let's get a dunk out of this because look what happens here. When you see this your man going to get ready to help, why can't you start to creep up? And when you see him go fully commit to this help, look, you're gone, and now you're right here. And now we're just dropping it to you, and this is a dunk. Because if you stand at the three-point line, you run the risk of them being able to rotate out of it. And look, if you stand at three-point line, that better go in, and it doesn't. But it better go in because you have guaranteed points if you cut there. And there it didn't go in, and so you end up with nothing. So this is great spacing here. Look at this. When you run this ball screen, now look at when you empty out the strong side of the floor like this, look, now you give this guard room to also refuse the ball screen. Okay? If there's a player here in the gaps here, this guard can't refuse the ball screen. There's no place to go. So here, look, you have emptied out the strong side of the floor, and now you let this guard refuse this ball screen, and now he has space to get into the lane and hit a pull-up jumper. That's great spacing. So this big right here has got to do a much better job of diving to this open space. Look at this right here. So this guard for Chicago State blows by his man and gets into the lane. Okay, when this big steps up right here to help, I mean, that's clearly what's about to happen. Look at this. You can't stand, okay? You've got to, one, dive hard, okay? And then two, you have to get your body wide body so you can seal off this defender that's sinking down. See, look what happens here. One, this big doesn't dive to this open space. He stands. Instead of being outside the charge circle, he should be inside the charge circle. And again, wide body to seal off this defender sinking down. So you're just catching and dunking. But you don't seal off that defender. You don't really dive to that open space. So now you got to take a contested shot, and you get 0.